Hey there, Simone here with Bulletproof Business Growth, as always with some ideas and insights, what to pay attention to when you are getting ready to scale your business. So look, a lot of our clients have the same complaint, and the complaint is always about they can't hire the right people. And the funny thing is, well, not so funny, but it doesn't matter what industry they're in, what location they're in, what size their business is, what structure their business is, it's all the same problem. So it doesn't matter where you are. So it makes me think it's not just that. Second complaint they have is the team that they have currently is not a good team. They're not accountable. They're not reliable. And for them to get it right, to get things done right, to get them done exactly the way they want it, they feel like they have to do it themselves. So it all ends up being back on them. So it's either they can't hire the right people or the people that they already have aren't doing a good enough job. And, the best case scenario oftentimes is that people actually show up and that they do what they're told, but they don't go the extra mile. They don't bring any strategy to the table. They have to be told everything. And that means that all the solutions, solving mistakes, fighting fires, all that, like the important stuff is all dependent on the business owner. Of course, that is incredibly exhausting, taxing, and that also means that the business owner can never leave, can never go on vacation, is probably completely tapped out, has no energy to do anything else, and of course, that's a big problem. And then the third complaint that everybody has is that labor costs have gone completely through the roof. Nothing is the way it used to be. People want more money every time they hire, and then they don't deliver. And if Joe Blow next door is offering $1 more, they're going to go next door. So there's no delivery. There's no loyalty. There's no commitment to anything, because the truth here is no commitment, no passion, no ownership, and no loyalty is the result of paying higher wages. So, of course, you might wonder, how do we solve all this? Well, here's the problem. For most business owners, the everyday focus is purely tactical. How do we get stuff done? How do we deliver for our customers so that we can make good on our promises? So the entire situation is a hustle and a grind, and there's no time left to do anything strategic, to think outside the box, to be innovative, and to support the team in a way that they can do a better job. And a lot of times that means training, that means coaching, that means leadership support, that means giving them the systems and the structures that they need so they can do an amazing job. So most business owners find themselves really, really stuck in this repeating pattern, and because they're so used to it, they don't look any further. And what happens in that case is this whole scenario doesn't just become everyday reality. It becomes their ingrained belief that it can't be different, that it has to be this way, that everybody is working this way, that it can't be changed, becomes the belief system, and it becomes the identity of this person. It becomes just how it is. And we work with hundreds of business owners, and we've seen this time and time again, where it is normal, expected, and there's a certain pride in, oh yeah, I work 60 to 80 hour weeks, and that's how it always is. And I don't really mind. I love my work. So there's a certain sense of pride in this craziness, how much time they spend working. So that's, of course, a dangerous self-fulfilling prophecy. So oftentimes what that means is when you're so used to just basically having everything be about work, well, if that's your norm, if that's your identity, what else really is there that's not related to work? So that becomes kind of a complete back burner. And of course, friends, family, health, all that goes by the wayside. So the other truth here is it really does not have to be this way. But the next truth is there's really no silver bullet to fix it. It's it's really surprising how many business owners I speak to every day who just kind of think that for one thing, it's just the way it is. For another thing, that at some point, somehow magically it will fix itself. Or like the current really great hope is that somehow AI will fix it. There's going to be this big thing that's going to come in and it's going to fix it all. That there's going to be some software or some platform that's going to take care of it. And the other part is that when they shell out more and more money, somehow that's going to make a difference. And here's the deal. Paying them more will not fix the problem. Getting more software or another platform will not fix the problem. AI will not fix the problem. And I know this because I've been there myself more than once. I've been there with more than one business of my own. I've helped, I've worked with tons of different companies, helped them fix this problem. And I've had over 500 companies who were our clients who we helped fix this problem. So it is not something that will fix itself or that will get fixed with some sort of easy solution. I had this my light bulb moment about this during a 3 a.m. freakout when I realized that the job ads that we had posted, they were all talking about the to-dos, the tasks, the duties, but not why. So it's not surprising that any candidate won't be able to bond with your mission if you can't clearly articulate it. Of course, the vision is another piece of that. They can't bond with your vision. They can't see themselves in it. They can't become excited about it and inspired about it if you can't clearly articulate it. So in all those conversations, I was a bit like, the blind date with vague interests to avoid real connection. So for far too long, I looked at recruiting as this kind of shrug, not as a passionate thing to do. And our job posts were bland lists versus meaningful, like really talking about the meaningful work that we do. Because look, it doesn't matter what you do. Really, it doesn't matter what you do. We've had clients who have wastewater companies, not anything glorious, and they have figured out how to make the work meaningful and how to get incredibly engaged, passionate, and strategic employees in place. So the excuse that it has something to do with what you do doesn't fly anymore. We have tons of evidence to the contrary. So we were not doing it right. We were not getting any passionate responses. And that also meant the people that we attracted weren't the right people. They just were unpassionate. They were lacking in vision and in drive, and it was very much because of what we reflected. So the symptoms that I saw were half-hearted employees, stalled growth, and for me it just meant my shoulders were getting closer and closer to my ears, and all the help that we had felt more like work than progress. So, when you think about it, it becomes again this self-fulfilling prophecy that if you don't take care of it, if you don't put in the work, it's not going to change. And then, of course, the cause was that our hiring process was not focused on fit. So, of course, that means the first thing that we had to do is we had to figure out, what does real right fit look like? And the only silver bullet there is going back to the basics. Look, I've talked to tons of business owners who'd already been through what they thought were the basics. They thought they had a good mission. They thought they had a good vision. They thought they had gone through some sort of leadership practices. But that it wasn't working was, A, the reason was that they didn't do it right, that they didn't have the right processes, and B, that they weren't practicing them. So it takes the right processes, of course, the right structures, And that's the biggest thing. But then the next biggest thing is that you got to keep doing it. You got to keep practicing it. So step one is truly defining your mission. And you will not be able to get away with the what alone, but the why has to be a huge, huge piece of it, because that's what creates believers who energize your everyday workday. And then, of course, the second piece is having an incredibly compelling vision story, because your vision story, when it's done right, it's not a blurb on your website that gives people kind of a quick soundbite. That's maybe good for your website. But when we're talking about hiring and creating engaged and amazing, incredible top player people, this is the most important sales pitch that you could ever make to your team members and your customers. And of course, that takes that it is professionally crafted, that it helps people understand how they fit into it, that it helps them make the connection to two of the most important human needs, as in significance and contribution. That's what people come for. Like really great people, I'm not saying none of them will be motivated by money alone. Some may be, but by and large, people who are great, who are truly bought in, they're bought in because, not because of the money, but because they can understand how they can be a bigger part of something that is bigger than them, that they can make an impact, that they can really see themselves into. So this is significance means I matter, and contribution means what I do matters. And purpose is huge on people's needs. So because if you don't have that as part of your mission and as part of your vision, honestly, nobody will care. Nobody will care about you and the rest of it, and they won't care about showing up. And then the third piece that, of course, is the piece that supports and fuels consistency in implementation is your really good leadership system. So this is really how you take good people and make them great. This is how you help them grow consistently with you as your company grows, so you don't outgrow them, and how you consistently help them increase their value higher and higher and higher so that they can keep hitting it out of the park for you. So none of that stuff happens by itself. The only thing, what this really means is you have to become a leader. If you think you have no time for that, think again, because the way I see it and the way it's shown up over and over and over is you don't have not the time to do it, as in you have to do it. There's no way that you cannot invest the time to do this stuff. And look, I mean, I get it. A lot of people that we talk to every week, they are really stuck in their unbelievably uncomfortable comfort zone. It's where comfort is like torturous, but it's this torturous Groundhog Days that repeats itself over and over and over, but it's predictable. It's what they know, so they stick with it. You know, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, I guess. But look, if predictable is not good enough for you, then it's time to make a decision and time to draw that line in the sand and really make this change. I mean, the most beautiful time of the year is coming up, where it's very, very natural and organic to make this change, as in we have a new year coming up. This could be your best year yet, but it won't be unless you go back to the basics, make sure that you implement all these things that we're teaching, and that you have an incredibly good accountability structure for your team and for yourself, so you stick to the practices. So if you want to know more about that, we just came out with a brand new training that addresses all this in much more detail. Go to bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, and check out our new free training. I will see you all next time.